I hate to admit this, but I was one of those people who used to say, if Kid Cudi wants to make great music, he needs to be depressed. Now, I know how outrageous of a statement that is, but at the time, I was going through a lot of things mentally in terms of processing stuff. I would never say I was depressed, maybe a little down here and there, but listening to Kid Cudi's music was somebody who I thought in the art world who was really relatable when it comes to that side of the mental health and all these different things. He was way before his time. Like, if you think people talk about mental health and self-love and depression and all these things today a lot, in 2008, Kid Cudi is the embodiment of that. And in fact, a lot of people attribute his music to getting them out of their depression. And what's surprising is that in 2025, one of his songs from his mixtape days is going viral. It's called Maui Wowie from his mixtape, A Kid Named Cudi. And it's just a bunch of people just hanging from stuff, singing the lyrics. And personally, I don't understand why it's going viral, even though I love music and I like Kid Cudi. I'm just sitting there like, oh, this adds to the whole dead-end internet theory, if you guys ever heard of that theory, where basically everything is just bots and nothing's original and it's all computer generated and all this stuff. Especially with AI nowadays, I wouldn't really be surprised. But that's not the point. The point is that one of his songs is going viral. It's climbing up the charts. People are listening to his music again, and part of me says like, wow, this is like a resurrection of a legend that people, I don't want to say forgot, because everybody likes Kid Cudi, but people kind of forgot how good his music was. People only remember Pursuit of Happiness and Day Night, but if you go back into his catalog and hear the one-off songs from even if albums you don't really like, you start there and say, damn, this guy's a real legend. He knows how to make melodies. He knows how to make choruses. He knows how to do everything within hip hop and just modern day. He influences today's sound. If you think artists today talk about mental health, depression, sadness, trying to be happy, and all these like mental health psychological terms, Kid Cudi was the originator of that. I know there were artists prior to him who dealt with those things and maybe mentioned it in songs here and there, but Kid Cudi was the brand for that. Maybe the only other artist I could think that was, associated with that kind of stuff was maybe Kurt Cobain and Nirvana. And it's kind of ironic because Kurt Cobain is one of Kid Cudi's biggest influences. We see it time and time again that Kid Cudi references Kurt Cobain. I mean, he even made a whole grunge album, Speeding Bullet to Heaven, which to me was a really good album. I know a lot of people don't like that album, but to me, it was my first introduction into that kind of harder style of music, being grunge, punk, rock. Like, before that was like what, 2014, 2013. I wasn't listening to rock music as much. I knew like the big hits here and there from like movies and stuff, but if you would say like, Leelai, listen to this rock album, I'm like, I'm sticking to hip hop. I want to get deeper and deeper into hip hop. But regardless of that, Kid Cudi, it was a great album. After that is when it starts to fall off and people start to think like, oof, I don't know how I feel about this, Cudi. Like, this is when the toxicity of like saying you need to be depressed to make your best music came from Kid Cudi. And I know that sounds like wild to say, but regardless of the fact, he's blowing up now. And hopefully he can use this momentum from Maui Wowie to kind of like spark some new resurrection of his career in terms of like big songs. Like, a lot of people have been kind of like criticizing Cudi for not making good music recently, and I actually liked his Intergalactic album, the album he made for the animation movie he made. That was a great movie. If you guys haven't seen it, super chill, very like within his like niche, but it's so good. It's like the animation is really good. It kind of reminds me of that Spider-Man movie, with the black Spider-Man. I don't watch superhero movies, but the Miles Morales one, I've seen like edits here and there of like using clips from the movie. But regardless of the fact, it kind of looks like that, and it's really dope. Good story. Really, go check it out. But the point is, depression and music. Is there a tie to these things? Do some artists make their best music when they are depressed? Yes. But is that for all artists? No. There are artists like Stevie Wonder. There are artists like Michael Jackson who majority of their best music is happy-go-lucky, kind of like upbeat tunes. I'm not trying to sit and say they were happy. They could have been depressed for all I know. And if they were, then maybe you do need to be depressed to make your best music. But Kid Cudi, his battled through a lot of demons. He's battled through drug use, rehabilitation, mental health, therapy, and all these different things. And it seems like now he's in a place where he's comfortable. He's just got married. He is, seen going on live, talking to his fans a lot. He's always talking about things he wants to pursue next, other ventures that he wants to try out. And it seems like he's very ambitious. Part of him like keeps coming back to music, even though sometimes he says, I'm retiring. He'll drop something later after he feels inspired and stuff. And he did drop a recent album titled Free that wasn't the best, but there's some, good, decent parts about it. It's not the worst thing out there. And we'll see if he can use this momentum from Maui Wowie to progress to something cooler. I'm all for something from back in the day of mixtapes bringing some new inspiration, like it's dope. But you guys let me know, do you guys think Kid Cudi needs to be depressed to make his best music? Or do you think he's entering a new stage of life where he can make some bangers?